Welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to have the first tasting of my Sierra Nevada Pale Ale clone. Now, as in the title, I'm calling this Not So Clone, but we'll get into that. Now, I did do a video where we went to the Sierra Nevada site, we looked at the recipe, and I took that and I plugged it into Beersmith to try and get it as close as I could. Now, this is the small batch. So 1.25 gallons going into the carboy. I believe what I did is I did the 5-gallon batch, then I split that, or I scaled that down to the 1.25 gallons. So 2 pounds, 7.6 ounces, raw pale malt is what I used. 3.4 ounces of Crystal 60. So that's it. 60-minute mash in, then we're going to do a 90-minute boil. So for the hops, 0.11 ounces of Cascade at 90, 0.17 ounces at 60, 0.28 ounces at 30, then 0.48 ounces at the end of the boil. So my pre-boil was on, so they wanted a 1034. That's what I hit. Now, after those 90 minutes, when I took it, they wanted the gravity to be 1057. Mine was 1069. So I was 12 points higher than what they showed. Now, that could be a couple reasons. Boil off rate. My boil rate was way too fast, and then by the time I'm done, I have less wort in there, so that's going to bring the ABV up. So usually what you can do is, if you have less in the boil, and say you're doing a 5-gallon batch and you have 4.5 in the fermenter, you can add cold water to get it up there, but you have to take another gravity reading because there's going to be more water in there, less sugar in that volume, so your gravity is going to drop. So I was like 1069, I'm way high. But I checked my reading and I was at 1.25 gallons. On the back of the Mr. Beer containers, there's lines, and it was above the 1. Now, could I have been a little bit short? Yes, I could. So I let it go. I was like, how can that be? So we'll get into it later. But that's why I'm calling this a not so clone, because this finished at 7.75 bricks, which gave me a 7.68% ABV. Beersmith called for a 5.6, and I believe the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is a 5.6. 36.7 IBUs. So this was bottled on 8/12. Let's go ahead and crack it open. 7 carbonation taps were used. Okay, hiss, good smoke. So, when I did this, I'm going to try, hopefully, here, I have been looking, but I never found one. I want to try and get a bottle, just a bottle of the Pale Ale to do a side-by-side comparison. So when I get that, I will do that side-by-side. But so why do we boil for 90 minutes? Well, we can make a stronger beer. A lot of recipes lately have been boiling for 90 minutes. You could bring out a richer caramel flavor because you're diluting that. More water is evaporating, so it's going to be more caramely. Technically, if you wanted to, you could add more IBUs to a beer by boiling it longer. The longer those hops are in a beer, the more bitterness IBU you're going to get from them. So we really don't have a head. What bubbles I do have are white. If we take a look at the color, caramel reddish in color. I mean, good fall color. Very, very hazy. I can't see through it. I can't remember what the Pale Ale looks like. I'm guessing that's close. It kind of looks like the picture. If anything, this is a little brighter than what the Beersmith picture shows. But yeah, we're off way on the ABV on this one. Let's go ahead and smell. Now, with Cascade, usually what I get out of Cascade is floral. Maybe a little citrus, a touch of earth, and floral. Floral sticks out the most, so let's smell. I get a little floral, a little toasted malt, that Crystal 60, a little sweetness, a little like sweet toasted bread is coming through with a touch of floral. I am getting a little citrus in there though. Nothing real big, but just nice smooth smells. Let's go ahead and taste. Very smooth. You get that caramel sweetness up front, along with some floral, some citrus. Toasted bread pretty much goes to the back. There is some bitterness. Perceived bitterness is probably a little bit higher, around 45, 50. I would think that bitterness does hang around in the aftertaste. A little sweet caramel with some citrus bitterness. Like I said, that bitterness is hanging around and that it's staying there. Maybe carbonation needs to be a little bit more. It seems slick, like it just goes right down. I think the that bitter citrus floral helps balance out that Crystal 60, that sweet caramel malt taste that I'm getting. That's pretty good. Yeah, I would say if anything the carbonation needs to come up just a little bit more. Um, it seems though for the perceived bitterness, it's a little too high for a pale ale. Now a pale ale is going to be humongous in range. When I think of a pale ale, I think of a light. That fruit, that citrus kind of sticks out a little bit more throughout the whole entire palate than the malt, and then the bitterness is low. It seems like this has the bitterness of like an IPA, and especially with that Crystal 40 coming off as that sweet caramel, it's almost making me think of like a double IPA. Now my ABV is higher, but I'm still getting a lot of sweetness in there. I shouldn't say a lot, a medium amount of sweetness in there. And I'm guessing that's coming more from the malt than it is what was left over, because with this high of ABV, that yeast would have ate through some of that sugar, which would have lowered the body and made it a little bit drier. But I think that Crystal 60 really helps out in that case. I do have burps though. But yeah, overall very good. For me, I'm not a huge floral fan, so that's what I was like, what's this going to turn out like? But yeah, I think it's nice and smooth. If you like Centennial hops, this is probably one that you can brew or buy it if you're not a brewer. But yeah, definitely one that this tastes more fallish to me with that sweet crystal malt in there and that breadiness. It's more of a fall time, and we are kind of pushing into fall here. So I think this works out well. I think I would make a 5-gallon batch of this and drink it during the day. Now, obviously, this one I can't taste the alcohol. I do have a little bit of warming in my stomach. But yeah, drink on it during football games or something like that. But yeah, just watch out since it's almost 7.5%. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to try and find a bottle of the Pale Ale from Sierra Nevada. Then I'll do a side by side. So if you enjoyed this video, check some more out over here. And until next time, happy brewing.